All right, guys, so once again, we got to talk about a teacher getting caught pushing their woke ideology on their students. And this time is not about gender or sex, which is basically what I've been talking about for the past 3 or 4 months now. But it's about race, which is something I talked about a whole lot last year, okay, when we was having a critical race theory conversation. And this story involves a teacher out of Billerica, Massachusetts, whom got caught bragging on camera about how she was teaching her kindergartners about white privilege. And apparently, some parents did not like the fact that she was teaching their kids about white privilege and decided to email her about it and say, hey, you know what? I'm not necessarily sure if this is appropriate for kids to be learning in school, right? Kindergartners. Not sure they should be learning racial hatred in kindergarten. Now, instead of this teacher taking these parents and their feedback, at face value and, reflecting and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not appropriate to teach kids this stuff. Instead, this teacher doubles down and actually gets caught on camera mocking the parents whom reached out to her about their concerns. So I want to talk about it today. But before we get in that, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you want to support my channel, you can do so using a link in the description below. You support the Patreon, you support the PayPal, you support the merch. There are multiple ways to support the channel if you would like to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this clip of this teacher bragging about teaching her kindergartners about white privilege and mocking parents who had a problem with it. Take a look.
So this is like a small story mixed with like what we need. Last year I taught entirely remotely, which means all of the parents got to hear all of my teaching, which is very exciting. The other part is that I was teaching remote kindergarten, which is hilarious, by the way. Everyone should try it. And so I did a lesson on white privilege, essentially. I talked about how some people are treated differently based on what they look like, and all the parents heard it. And I received some emails that were like, wow, that was a really powerful lesson. Thank you for starting that conversation. And then I received some emails that were like, how dare you treat my white child differently? I'm like, was that hard for you? So I think some of the things we need either talking points for families, because if we're going to talk to kids about this is really hard for parents to hear, especially parents who may unknowingly lead very privileged lives and don't know how to have that conversation without feeling like they've done something wrong. It's about their parenting, but we need talking points. We need ways to support them. We need to know that we are going to get support from our administration when we have these challenging conversations. And we as teachers need to not feel the weight of teaching these extremely large concepts and feeling like we don't have the ability to do so because we don't know where we can be silenced or should we be silenced. There's a lot. That's a big question. So I'm going to stop, but there's a lot there.
Yeah, so basically what that teacher's saying there is that, hey, I taught a lesson on white privilege to kindergartners. Again, ridiculous. And the parents that were upset, F them, right? F them. In fact, I'm actually going to mock those parents, okay? Because they don't understand their privilege. Yeah, I don't understand how in the world did we get to a point in this country where these teachers feel so empowered to teach social norms and standards to kids, especially kindergartners, right? I don't think that racism should be a part of the curriculum for kindergartners. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. This teacher went out of her way to create a lesson in which she's going to impose her own woke ideology on these kids instead of just teaching what she's been hired to teach. And it's hilarious because all these teachers look the same, man. They're easy to identify, right? I hate to be the person to say this, but I don't know, man. Maybe some of these administrators, if they actually care about this stuff, put it that way, because a lot of these administrators are woke too, and they support it. That's why a lot of these teachers haven't been fired up into, being exposed. But maybe they should start profiling, right? If you come in here looking like this, right, with, blue hair and all types of crazy stuff going on, maybe that should automatically disqualify you from the job. I don't know. I feel like it should. I feel like it would in any type of corporate setting. If you come into a job interview with this type of unprofessional looking hairstyle, right? Blue hair and all this other stuff going on. Yeah, blue hair, piercings, rainbow, everything. Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't get the job if this was corporate America, right? Traditional corporate America, because corporate America is going woke as well too. I haven't been in corporate America for quite some time now, so I don't know what the standards and norms are anymore. Okay, but yeah, with that being said, I think it's easy to identify these teachers at this point. And this article right here, actually like kind of profiled this lady, okay, and gives us some more information about who she is. And I think one of the interesting things here is that in that video in which she talked about, getting support from the administration, it seems like she really doesn't have much to worry about in regards to getting fired, because like I told you guys, a lot of these principals and these administrators at these schools actually agree with this stuff. This is why none of those teachers were getting fired before Libs of TikTok, basically, right? And in this example right here, we have the principal at the elementary school this woman works at. You can see here that this principal has actually posted woke things herself, right? Like she's posted about systemic racism. She says, systemic racism explained. This is Jamal. Jamal is a boy who lives in a poor neighborhood. They couldn't have picked a blacker name than Jamal, right? Said he lives in a poor neighborhood. She's also tweeted about Trump, okay, and hating Trump, basically. Okay, so she's an anti-Trumper, right? She tweeted about the Capitol riot. She tweeted the All Lives Matter crowd is extremely upset to learn that all votes matter. So she's a hardcore Democrat, right? She's woke, just like this teacher we've been talking about, right? It's pretty funny how that works. And then we have the teacher herself, who is active on social media and has tweeted some things that are questionable, but we shouldn't be surprised about. As once she said, if you're white, you do not get to determine if you are an ally to black people or POC. They get to decide that. You have to prove it. So I wonder, this teacher here, I wonder, does she consider herself an ally to black people, right? What black person made her an ally, right? And what did she have to do to become an ally, right? Did she have to get on her knees, right? And beg and plead, right? To be an ally? Is that what she had to do? I wonder what Becky had to do, right? She also put out this tweet right here. I asked them who they thought was the bravest. Not only were they completely panicked because how I picked between the bravest woman I've ever heard of, but they have no idea how to comprehend racism. Quote, why do the white people have to be so mean? We're all just people. Okay, so she's basically bashing white people here, okay? As you can see, look here, it says, white people were unkind. And then she says, they literally have no idea why racism is a thing. Don't tell me this is something they're born with. If my 6-year-olds of multiple backgrounds can understand, then you can too. We as white people need to do better and be better. Again, this is what she's wasting her time teaching kids in school, guys. I want y'all to understand this. Kindergartners, right? And then this one right here really gets me. This one right here takes the cake. As she has an issue with math that's not gender fluid, right? She tweeted in response to a math problem question. She says, this question is ridiculous and impossible. How should I know if you didn't include any of the gender fluid kids or those who do not identify under boys and girls? Hashtag second grade math. Bruh. So this teacher is so woke that she believes that math should be gender fluid, right? If I had to guess, this teacher probably won't be fired, right? Even though she's teaching things that have nothing to do with the curriculum, right? She's teaching things that, in my opinion, are racial hatred. She is taking away these kids' innocence. And that should be a zero tolerance for this type of stuff in school, okay? But we seem to have a lot of guilty white liberals, right, that have infiltrated these schools that are determined to teach other white people to get on their knees and to beg and plead for forgiveness. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the woke spectrum, we have these teachers that are determined to come into school and to push their gender and sexual ideology on kids as well, right? So kids are just getting bombarded with propaganda and wokeness from all sides, whether that's racial or the gender stuff, right? They're just getting bombarded with it, okay? And it's unfortunate that we have administrators and principals in these schools that got educated at some of these woke liberal universities that believe this stuff as well, okay? So they're totally fine with it because, like I said, these teachers weren't getting fired until Libs of TikTok started exposing them, and now all of a sudden, teachers are getting fired for this stuff. But I believe they've been doing this stuff for a long time because they've been allowed to get away with it. It's just now that it's been brought to the light that the public knows about it, all of a sudden the administrators want to do something about it. But up until that point in which the teachers were getting exposed, the administrators was cool with it, right? They probably was supporting it. So let me know what you guys think about this. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.